you ready?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Weeaboo Club weekly podcast. This is week, let me pull up last week so I know.
38.
38.
Yay!
Yes. Let me look up something about 38 because I do not have something off the top of my head. Give me 1 second. I apologize. This is taking me a second. It's the atomic number of strontium, I guess. Sure, that's something. Yeah. It's the number of slots on a roulette wheel. All right, so we're playing roulette, and this is the worst episode already because we lost the roulette wheel this time. So, let's go.
Okay. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Anyway, all right. Comments on the seasonal, which there were not very many.
Wait, don't. Oh yeah, seasonal. You're right. I thought. Yeah,
that was on Monday. That was on Monday.
Yeah. No, you said seasonal, and my brain thought weekly.
Oh yeah, no, I understand. We only did seasonals as the weekly for the first year or so of the Weeb Club. So, but real quick. So Master Spoon. Yes, I did find the lesbian feet anime. We literally were talking about it, and none just didn't realize it.
Yeah, that is funny.
It was pretty funny.
I love this Nakar comment because it's just so telling that people know not only what I'm gonna like, but it's also funny because we do this in almost intentionally not knowing about the shows, right? We try to do it before any of them air. So we don't know what's gonna be popular. We don't know what people are talking about, right? And so I love this comment that tensions were high for if Vindy was gonna get Fantasy B Shoujo. Which is part of what makes the draft fun, right? Because now y'all know about the shows, so it's who's going to get the show. Is the person who watches the show that I want to watch it going to watch it? So
well, and I think one thing I hadn't really thought about before, but like looking at it from an audience member, because when we do this, like not only do we just not know a lot about the shows just by nature of like we don't do a heavy amount of research, and obviously we haven't seen them, but also like by the time the episode actually comes out, like 2 weeks have passed, so like people have picked up some of the shows, right? So like even though we know nothing when we do the drafts, because even some of the shows we draft haven't even aired yet, right? So I just thought about how like I hadn't thought about how like the mindset we have when we're doing the drafts is we don't know shit, but people watching it obviously would know some of the shows, right? So
right, and that's the first time that's come up where anyone ever said that they wanted a certain person to get a show, and thankfully that person did get that show.
Right,
but,
so I haven't thought about it until, like, just now, basically, is why I brought it up.
Yeah. Man, whoever came up with the idea for that draft really fucking just 800 IQ, you know?
Shut the fuck up. I don't have any more comments to respond to because there were very few.
Yes.
Moving on to the weekly.
I got a comment already. I'm coming in hot. Ayumox won. I look, the first part I'm not responding to because whatever, but the second part, that take on Sono Bisuke is a huge L for Vindy. Best ongoing romance manga by far, no sir. Not
That's
after
not
the
what you
newest
said.
Rent-A-Girlfriend chapter. What?
Oh, no, now I see what's being responded to. Never mind.
No sir. Rent-A-Girlfriend's newest chapter fucking slapped. Kanajo Kanajo goes just as hard. Not the best going. It's very good, don't get me wrong. I like Sono Bisuke a lot, but let's not pretend that Rent-A-Girlfriend... Look. People in that series belong to the fucking streets, and they're proving it, and shit's getting wild. All right? So I do not agree with that. It is not easily the best. Because sure, it's great, and it's sweet, and it's cute, and it's fun, and like there's like one moment that had me like pogged up, and the rest is like very cute. But like Rent-A-Girlfriend has like... I am on the edge of my goddamn seat waiting week to week for these fucking chapters. I am losing my shit right now. So I cannot say easily. I'm sorry, King.
Real quick, apparently Lon Zonima says that the Attack on Titan ending being like Code Geass is actually just a misunderstanding of the ending of Attack on Titan, which, sounds reasonable given, like, I don't know that much about the ending of Attack on Titan, but I have heard some of the discourse around it, just because it's, a popular thing, and I just happen to have seen some stuff. So, yeah, people misunderstanding it doesn't surprise me. I don't know. It's just, people just don't understand stories. So,
Well, you're really just going to call it the fourth member of the Weeb Club like that?
I don't, we haven't talked in a while.
That's just so hateful. I guess Grave the Stampede said they don't enjoy the feeling of being spoiled, but they can't lie. Interesting spoilers have made them get back into many ongoing manga that they ended up enjoying plenty. Which I definitely feel like I can agree with sometimes, where maybe you drop something or you put it down and then you see a spoiler that happened, right? Like, for example, I was a couple weeks behind on MHA, and the spoiler of the week before we actually found out who it was, when everyone thought it was one person, because people, you know what I mean? The recent spoiler made me be like, oh my god, I gotta catch up, shit's going hard. And then now I'm 2 weeks behind again. But you know what, it got me for a couple weeks. So
no more comments for you guys.
I don't have any others.
Okay, that's not
none. Manji?
No.
Oh my gosh, this fucking guy. All right. Let's see. The Reddit has. It's a joke about the Dragon Ball spoilers in the episodes. It's an old fucking meme. Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Shit fucking sends me back. And then give me a second.
I tried to type it out. I'm not getting a 4 not found.
It's Pelican Fan Club. Who are you?
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Nun.
I've learned the link now.
I don't know why I couldn't link. I typed it out.
Are you on God? You just know the fucking link?
Well, really, what made me learn it was offline saying they learned it, because I never really paid super attention to it, but I thought it was funny that he knew the link, and then I started knowing the link because of that.
So that's just like a language to you now, where you saw that and you just immediately knew what it was.
I was expecting Rickroll, honestly.
Okay, Craftsdwarf, now you're showing your age. Come on, dog. All right. That's something. I don't know how to feel about that one, Crafts.
Shut the fuck up.
All right. What are we?
So
topic.
you came up with the topic literally 5 seconds before we started recording.
I did.
So
hey, yet another time I slapped creating just fucking good ideas just off the top of my head.
I can't talk about my favorite one, but okay.
Why?
You'll find out when I mention them.
All right. Well, cry more, I guess. I don't know. The topic is gonna be antagonists or villains, so it'll either be maybe just anything about either of those two. I don't want to say just villains, because I think people.
I think
antagonist is the better word.
Yeah, I have definitely seen people, because in my I definitely accept or am very glad for the use of antagonist as a general term and people understanding it, just because heroes and villains kind of has a very implied morality to it. And even then, but then, especially when you consider just, well, what's an anti-hero? What's an anti-villain? It gets so muddled and shit, where protagonist and antagonist is usually much more clear, right? Where it's the main character and the guy who's against the main character. But I've definitely seen people use the term antagonist like they would villain. I remember someone saying, I was talking to my friend, and I'm, trying to say Smoker is an antagonist. He's not a villain in One Piece, obviously, because he's a really good guy. He just happens to be against Luffy. I remember mentioning Katakuri as an antagonist once on I think it was my server literally years ago, and someone says, I don't think they're antagonists, and I'm like, he's not a villain, but he's an antagonist because he's
Luffy fights him.
Exactly right, just misunderstanding that antagonist doesn't mean they're not synonyms, right? And that's why I'm really glad that it is more in use. But it is just a little and this has only happened twice, in fairness, but this is the whole point of using the word antagonist, because it's not a villain, right? So
right, but the problem is 95% of the time it is, right? So then it's, you know what I mean? It's
right, yeah, no, absolutely right.
So, but yeah, the antagonists. I guess I'll start with what's some of y'all's favorites. None, you go first.
You go first.
No, you go first.
No.
I was expecting a what the heck?
No, you've said nothing. You go first.
You go first.
You go first.
This is a 24-hour recording.
I got class in 12 hours, bitch. You go first. I'll sit here the whole fucking time.
Okay, see, it's like I'm, the eldest, but you guys are definitely like the older brother and the little brother. Like, that's just the energy I'm getting here, with just the petty, like, arguing and.
Well, this guy's fucking said maybe a sentence, and it was just to say it's Pelican Fan Club. Who are you? Say something. Give me one. Oh yeah, that is the link. What do you know? All right, I guess I'll go since this guy wants to be a big fucking baby. Everyone posts in the comments, none is a baby. Or just like baby, like the little
He's
baby
the little
emoji.
brother.
Just something. Just call him a baby in the comments because he fucking deserves it. I will. You know what? I'm gonna start with a spicy one. I think. I'm gonna talk about. Oh my god, let me make sure I have his name correct. Yeah. I'm gonna talk about Hoken from Kingdom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because I think he's very good, and I think his fight in Kingdom is fucking awesome. And I guess, like, to explain a little bit of why I think Hoken is so good in, like, the, not really super spoilery terms, is that I think Hoken is a great parallel for Shin in terms of, like, how they each use, I guess, like...
Comrades?
Comrades, right? Because so, like, especially considering when in Kingdom this takes place and what happens with Shin after this happens... this large part of, like, what's going on at the time is, or not this large part, but, like, Shin is, as Kingdom goes, his army's getting larger, right? It starts, and he's just, like, kind of a foot soldier in, like, a small group, and then he starts leading a group, and then he starts leading a bigger group, and he starts leading a unit, and he starts leading an army, and Shin's getting more and more people that are following him, and as he's getting more people that are following him, he's, like, every time, pretty much, his army grows bigger, he loses someone in his life, right? Someone passes away, or he has to defeat someone that he starts to learn to respect or understand a little bit. And so you get this thing where Shin is shouldering the weight of all of these different people, right? He's shouldering the weight of all these people that have died and passed lessons on to him, as well as shouldering the weight of his entire army. And so Shin is fighting for a lot more than just himself. And then you have Hoken, who is very much fighting for himself, for his ideals, for his own strength and his own martial might. And so you kind of get this thing where even though, like, technically Hoken is just, like, stronger than Shin in terms of, like, if you were to give them, like, a Madden rating, right? Hoken would be stronger, right? Like, power scaling wise, I guess. But the whole point is that, Shin has all these people behind him, and he's fighting for all these people, and he has all these things pushing him, while Hoken's only really fighting for himself. And so it just creates this really cool, like, the difference between the two and their dichotomy is, like, really great, and I think it really helps. Also, another thing that Hoken, that makes him so fucking good is the guy is, like, a fucking menace. Like, I'm not gonna say names, but Hoken kills at least, like, 3 or 4 important characters in the series.
He has a lot of presence, and I definitely think, personally, like, as far as, like, what makes, like, a really compelling antagonist for me is that they do have that kind of presence where, like, they show up and it's like, fuck!
Hoken
like
shows up and someone is fucking dying. Like, it's not like Hoken shows up, maybe a bunch of, like, nobody's gonna know. Hoken shows up and a major named character you have grown to like is fucking dead. Because this guy cannot be stopped. It's fucking great.
Yeah, I think a character like, who for me has a lot of presence, Bondrewd from Main and Abyss. Because, like, I remember even before I read the manga, because I kind of picked it up just because I saw some, horrific shit that happens later. And, like, I basically went into the manga knowing, okay, some children fucking die or something, and Bondrewd is, like, literally behind, like, he's the name that I kept hearing, about it, because I think, the Idafront arc had been completed by that point. Because that night I read, like, literally the first 5 volumes, which goes up to the, where the anime is at now, basically. And so, like, just every time his name got thrown around, I was just even, like, not, technically shouldn't have known anything. I was like, but then even rereading it, he's just, like, Bondrewd is just, like, he's phenomenal. He's just, like, he's scary. And, I did watch the movie. It was really good. And, great voice actor. He just, like, yeah, again, he just shows up and he's just kind of, like, chilling and terrifying. And There is one scene especially in the manga where it like cuts away to a Habold, I think, and he's like describing Bondrewd, and I think the words he specifically uses are like, if there's anything in the abyss that would be described as a monster, it's him. And then it cuts back to him being fucking terrifying, and just like that whole sequence is just Bondrewd's really good.
I agree.
And I guess to follow up with that, I guess another antagonist. I guess let's just start off with my favorite antagonist and one of my favorite characters ever, Nagito Komaeda, who I can't really talk about.
Now I see. I understand.
Yeah,
yep.
Because you're still partway through Danganronpa 2, and I don't really want to spoil you more. Like, you already know, that he's probably, important just because, he's going into, he's, one of my favorite characters ever, and my favorite character in Danganronpa, so it's like, okay, he probably does some shit. So I don't want to spoil you more than I already have, basically.
I understand. Got it. Yes, sir. Nunmanji.
Yeah.
Do you give one?
Do you think it's been do you think it's been long enough to talk about ReZero season 2? Just
yeah. I mean, it if you consider the second half of it came out last year.
Oh my god, you're right.
The second half of it finished. I mean, not finished a year ago, but started a year ago now. So I think it's fine. I think that we're at the point now where if someone wanted to watch ReZero spoiler free, you've had a year, that, most people on this podcast really like it. I think you're fine.
I think we all like ReZero, and we're all caught up, right?
Yeah. So I would say that if you really don't want ReZero spoilers, skip 10, 15 minutes or some shit. I don't know.
I definitely think Roswell's easily become, at least so far, one of the most interesting antagonists in ReZero. I think just because I think what's super cool about him is unlike when Subaru was up against Rem, for example, it's not like we knew that he had this thing against Subaru in any kind of way for so long. And it's not like he even really has a thing against Subaru. It's really that he believes in Subaru and thinks Subaru will be like him. So he's pushing Subaru to be like him. But it's we didn't really know there was this side to him that Subaru would clash with.
Yeah, I always he's always been shady, I would say, but I always kind of figured that I didn't necessarily assume he's definitely going to go against Subaru at some point for some reason. I didn't foresee him being an antagonist necessarily.
I think that's what's done so well about him, right? Is he literally is just a fucking homie and a major helpful
source of assistance.
Yeah, helpful force in the first season. So when the fucking shoe is dropped, it's oh fuck.
Yeah, it feels really insane to see somebody who's for at least at this point in ReZero, it feels it's almost late for him to have this kind of thing that Subaru needs to win him over. Subaru's already won over Rem and Amelia. Well, Amelia wasn't a fucking antagonist that was fighting against him or anything, but he's already won over all these people to his side and the people in the mansion itself. But Roswell's standing in his way, slowly becoming more and more insane, and you're just seeing all these things about him that you didn't really think about, just because he part of it was he was just kind of on the side helping Subaru in season 1, and then for a lot of season 1 he's just gone, so you don't really think about him, but then he's in season 2 as this antagonistic figure, and he's not even he's not even really trying to kill Subaru or anything, but it's he is threatening all the things that Subaru cares about, and makes him and is trying to push him to make this choice. And I do think the antagonists I value a lot are antagonists that kind of they are the main character, or are trying to actively push the main character to be like them.
Well, that's I think Roswell's so cool because he like you even said, he believes in Subaru and thinks Subaru is really important and wants to help Subaru. He just thinks that the best way to help Subaru is to get Subaru to betray his ideals. And so Subaru has to prove basically that he's correct by making this deal with it. It's really, I think it's super sick.
Yeah, and I kind of like that it's not even it's almost like I don't think Roswaal will be against Subaru having all of these things that he wants if Roswaal didn't think it was impossible. Like, Roswaal couldn't really give a shit if, like, Subaru has all these things, but since he thinks it'll get in the way of Subaru, like, completing the goal that Roswaal set out for him, and since he couldn't really do the thing that Subaru wants to do, then that's why he thinks he has to step in and be this antagonist and do these things that he kind of knows are evil to some extent, but, like, you know, he's doing it anyway because he's devoted himself to this path. And I just like how, like, you can clearly see a lot of negative aspects of Subaru in Roswaal, but taken to the extreme, which is really cool. I like Roswaal a lot as, like, an antagonist figure. I think I almost think if they never did this kind of thing with him, I don't know, like I knew people liked Roswaal before all of this, but, like, I don't know,
you would have thought of him as, like, a
never a character that was, like, someone I really thought about a lot or, like, really cared about.
Another thing I like about Roswaal, just to say one more thing, is I love the way that he's jealous of I love the way that he's jealous of Subaru. Like, I like how it's not just that he believes in Subaru. There's also, like, this large amount, because, you know, I think a lot of times, and there are a lot of antagonists that are jealous of the protagonist, but I think, you know, a lot of times, especially when you think of antagonists, you think of someone who, you know, does a lot of times just want to stop the protagonist or get in their way or something. But I like when it's motivated by jealousy, right? Is that the protagonist has something that they don't, right? Subaru is closer to the witch than Roswaal is. And that upsets Roswaal, right? And I think that's, like, super cool and super sick.
Someone else can go.
I'll go again since I gave one. Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about Gintama. Fuck it. I'm gonna talk about Takasugi. Because there are other antagonists that I like a lot. Namely the final one, who I think is fucking great. But
Takasugi's the one you could talk about with the least worry of spoilers, because
yes,
I've seen
because
people
I can
avoid even naming the final.
Oh, I wasn't gonna say his fucking name. Don't worry, Craftsdwarf. That reveal is too fucking bonkers. I can't talk about the main antagonist because of the way he's revealed, the way in which it happens, and the importance of that reveal to the story. I can't talk about it. Like, I'm actually not going to spoil that. But I'll talk about Takasugi. Because a lot of his stuff is laid out in the beginning. And right. I love Takasugi because, like, I feel like, you know, he starts as not starts in terms of starts in the series, but, you know, he has this long history with Gintoki, right? He's one of essentially the three characters in the story that were Gintoki's comrades during the war, and so because of that, it's like, you know, Gintoki's past is such a mystery for such a large amount of the series, right? And it's a mystery to not only the viewer but the other characters, right? And characters that would like to know Gintoki's past because they want to help him. Nobody knows it except for, you know, really three characters, and one of them is, like, actively trying to, like, blow up the world. And what I even like about it is, and we find out why, but it's not like Takasugi is, you know, doing the thing where it's like, oh yeah, Gintoki, we were comrades, you should join me, let's blow up the world. Takasugi, like, has already kind of accepted that Gintoki's not going to join up with him, right? And so he sees Gintoki as, you know, this, like, the representation of, because, you know, Gintoki does keep his samurai ideals, but embraces the world, right? And that's, like, a large part of what he ends up doing is he embraces the world that he's in, and he does things that coincide with the world, right? Like, he reads Shonen Jump, and he, like, drinks strawberry milk, which realistically, and I don't know this for sure, but I would assume strawberry milk didn't exist in Edo period Japan, right?
Yeah.
I can't say for sure. I don't know when strawberry milk was invented, but I'd take a fucking guess. So, you know,
I think it's a pretty reasonable guess, because it's not like it tastes like actual strawberries. It's processed artificial flavoring, right? Like, that wouldn't have existed at the time period in any country.
I can't say for sure, because if I say for sure, someone's gonna come in and say, you're fucking dumb. Strawberry milk was invented in 1325 in Japan, okay? Like, you know, I can't be sure, but
I also don't think milk was very commonly drunk outside of like, English speaking.
Oh, that's true, because I guess aren't a lot of Japanese people lactose intolerant, I think?
Well, yeah, no, I've heard that even like a lot of English people, or maybe it wasn't English, but some form of European people were lactose intolerant, but they drank milk anyway, and they were able to build up a tolerance, basically, so... Because humans just kind of weren't meant to be able to drink the milk of other animals, but they said, "Fuck you, it's delicious." And
I love milk. I love milk, dude.
Yeah, no, it's when I don't remember when I heard that or where I heard that, but I like the idea is so funny that I just like to repeat it anyway, even if maybe there's some inaccuracy there. But yeah, so like Japan probably didn't have like they wouldn't have had like maybe horses, but not cows, and even then horses, I don't know, maybe during the Edo period. But anyway, go ahead. That was a tangent.
But so you have Gintoki, who is this representation. Okay, sorry, really quickly. Strawberry milk was invented in 1968. We're fine. All right. So he embraces these things that are essentially a direct result of the changes to the world. Whereas Takasugi, every time we see him, right, he's smoking an old fashioned pipe, and he's working with some of these aspects of the world, but only doing it to destroy the world, right? So it's not the same as embracing the world. And so Takasugi just kind of decides that Gintoki's against him. And I think there's a bunch of like great scenes and moments between the two before they finally like engage in conflict, where like, you have like there's the scene in Benizakura where Gintoki and Katsura tell Takasugi, like, look, dog, like next time we see you, it's on fucking sight, dog. Like, you've gone too far. And then like, even like, to not give too much away, when they do finally have their confrontation, there's like really good conversation where, Takasugi talks about how, I've grown, and it's like the perfect example of the way the two see things, where, Takasugi's like, I've grown enough, power to fucking topple the nation, right? Like I have this fucking massive army with me that are all here to, try to fuck up everything. And Gintoki's like, Takasugi, like, you're kind of dumb, because like even though you have all this power, we've helped 10 times more people and saved like 100 times more things, and that's ultimately more important. And so you get this whole great thing where the same thing happened to both of them, but because of the way they took it, one instead uses that's the last time I'm ever going to lose anyone, so I'm going to protect everything else that matters to me. And the other character says, fuck that, I lost everything I cared about, I'm going scorched earth. And I think that like the fact that it's the same moment that happens to both of them is really good. And then everything that happens after that confrontation that I'm not going to talk about is also fucking phenomenal. And like the final fight of the manga, oh my fucking god, the motherfucker
the anime
does.
Film, rather.
Well, you're right. I'm sorry. The final fight of the series, I should say. The shit that fucking series does in that final fight. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so fucking good. Takasugi gets an A++.
One thing I was just going to say that I thought was interesting about Takasugi is like, because he kind of like, he has a lot of like hatred towards Gintoki for a lot of series, and I just kind of figured, they're against each other. But then you not only find out like why, but also that Gintoki feels the exact same way, and I was like, oh no, like I don't know, Takasugi's pretty good.
Oh my god, Craftsdwarf complimenting Gintama?
I just think it's funny to say I hate it, okay? I don't actually hate it.
A Weeb Club first?
I'm ending my life. Gonna go... No, shit, that's a spoiler. I was gonna make a joke like the screen cap of you on Discord with the main antagonist in Gintama.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, but I can't even say his name or allude to that, so, damn it, never mind.
Guess I'll go again, since both of you did too.
I did kind of do two on my first one, but I'll go next after you. So go ahead.
I think Sephiroth is definitely he's borderline or a favorite. I was actually thinking about him earlier today, completely before you came up with this
right
topic idea. But I just think like he is someone who has like a lot of presence, even though in the original game he doesn't show up that like he really does not like actually just show up often.
Yeah, he doesn't do much until like the end of disc 1, and then even then it's like sparingly until like the very end you see him.
Yeah, like I think the best thing about him is just like how much you can tell like he really wormed his way into like Cloud's mind without even trying, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil Craftsdwarf too much, but it's just like
I do want to play it eventually, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I do think like again they have that thing going on where they are very similar in ways, and like I don't even know if I could probably I don't think it's too big a deal to say it, but like, you know, Cloud like looked up to him at a certain point, and I do think it's like really interesting to see to know that in part the man that Cloud is like in the beginning of the game, and like for, you know, a decent part of it was shaped by Sephiroth. And I just think like how the game uses like the kind of presence of Sephiroth even though he's not around, and just kind of like always chasing the end of his like kind of the end of his like, I don't know, it's like carnage or whatever. Not really carnage, it's not like he's
Yeah,
like,
no,
leaving
no,
a bunch
no,
of
like,
bodies
yeah, like, I
behind,
mean,
but, like, there's that one moment in the game
with the snake, yeah,
you know, like there's just all these little things like throughout the game that I think makes him like really good.
To give an example of this moment, because I mean it's in the first probably 5 hours of the game, so I don't think it's that much of a spoiler. It's like there's this moment where you got to cross the swamp, right? And if you try to cross it just normally, a big snake comes in and he fucks up the party. Like he like one shots your ass, right? You get fucking gooned on. So you have to go get a chocobo to cross this swamp. And when you cross the swamp, you see a snake that got fucking reamed by just Sephiroth himself. Like Sephiroth just like soloed this snake that wipes the party. Which like this great like visual way of showing like how strong this guy fucking is.
I was aware of that, actually, to a degree. I didn't know about, like, you fighting him in the game, the snake, but I did know about, like...
Well, so you don't have to fight the snake.
Well,
if you just go get the chocobo, you don't. But if you
actually
try to cross it, you will fight the snake and get your ass fucked.
That actually never happened to me, so I didn't know that detail.
Yeah, no, if you don't go get the chocobos first, the snake will fucking wipe you. Like, you cannot beat him. He's fucking... like, he's not, like, stronger than you are at the end of the game. Like, he's not a super boss, because you can come back at a point... You know, probably like midway, 3/4 of the way, just because of the way the scaling in the game works. Midway, 3/4 of the way through the game and probably beat him. But if you try to fight him right when you get out of Midgar, yeah, he'll kick your fucking ass.
But, yeah, I think Sephiroth's really good. There's a lot of great things that involve the spoilers. Yeah, like, I don't know. I definitely think he'll probably be a favorite if I still keep thinking about him, because, like, you know, again, like I was just thinking about him today, so yeah. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so to use an example that's not as villainous, Shinobu from Chihayafuru is good.
Okay.
And I love her. And she's like, you know, she's like basically one of the strongest Karuha players, but also she's just a dorky, really autistic teenage girl who just doesn't get along with people, and is just like, she does all these dorky things, like her mascot obsession, like that she shares with Chihaya, though they like different mascots, but they still kind of like bond over it. Like I remember there's one, I think it takes place during the season 2 materials. Oh yeah, so you would have read it, Vindy. Yeah, so we're like she calls Chihaya's t-shirt lame because she's wearing like her school team shirt, and then Chihaya like lifts up her shirt and she has like a daddy bear undershirt, and they're just so stupid, and I love them. And then she gets some like, the manga's in the final match right now.
Is it really?
Yeah, no, it's in the Master Queen match. It's in the last round of the Master Queen match. So
get back to reading it.
But yeah, no, Shinobu's good. I was about to spoil some things, but I realized Vindy might not have gotten to that point yet, so I will avoid it. But yeah, I love her, and she's dumb, and yeah, she gets a lot of focus, especially like later on, and not that she doesn't earlier on too, but it's Shinobu good.
Yeah, I like her a lot. I I also like that she has a history with another main character.
Yes.
I'm not going to spoil that because that comes in definitely later on. But I think, yeah, there's like, she's good. I agree. I'm going to not steal your flow, but also steal your flow because I'm going to take an antagonist from a Slice of Life series.
Okay.
I'm surprised you don't already know exactly what it's going to be, Craftsdwarf, because this guy is villainous.
I think I know exactly who it fucking is.
Yeah.
Because I have my antagonist 3x3 open, and I bet you I'm fucking looking right at him.
So it's hard to talk about him because look, the amount of times in my life I've wanted to talk about this fucking arc from this goddamn series, but because so many people are anime watchers, they haven't seen it yet.
It's Sangatsu no Lion, by the way. Yeah, we know exactly
hard.
what it is. Yeah, like at this point, I'm like, I know. Yeah, there's no doubt. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's the arc that made my favorite manga, and so it's the antagonist from that arc. And what makes him so good is that he is just such a piece of shit. Like, he's literally just a fucking despicable person in a series where everyone else is good.
Yeah.
Even characters that, like, seem kind of spooky, or you might think, oh, these guys maybe just, like, the only connection to them is shogi. They're all good people, and you love everyone, except this one fucking guy.
Yeah, even, like, fucking, like, Kyoko's, you know, the guy she likes who is really mean-looking, but even he has moments that are, like, you know, like, we get more of him, and there's also, I think, like, Nikaido fucking collapses in a match, and he just, like, without even, like, you know, he just, like, keeps him from, like, falling or something, like, because they were just playing next to each other, right? Like, even this guy, who is, I think, especially if you are an anime watcher, he definitely seems like he's not a good dude. But he's still, like, you know, he's got positive aspects, unlike this motherfucker who is just, like, the worst, actually.
Because even Kyoko, who I originally hated, I think the more you learn about every character in Sangatsu, the more you, if not like them, understand them and think of them as, you know, sympathetic at least. And this guy, I think, is intentionally not sympathetic. Like, the show, or the series goes out of its way to tell you he's just a piece of shit. And he always has been and always will be. And
the fucking thing he does after he's basically lost, and he literally does a fucking horrible, shitty thing just to rub it in about how, like, he, like, oh, you guys are actually bad people. Look at this person that you're hurting, and just like, oh, I want to beat the shit out of him. Holy fuck. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Yes, he does a bunch of really shitty things. And the thing that I think, there's two things I guess I'll say about him that I think make him so good, which is one, the way he spurs Rei's growth. Because of the things he comes in, and especially in the first few times you see him, some of the things he says, absolutely, I think, fundamentally change Rei as a person. Mm-hmm. For the better, right? It makes Rei just, I'm not gonna say a better person, because I think a lot of the things that Rei's like outlook on life doesn't change from this interaction, right? Because the two are so diametrically opposed in terms of how they interact with people.
Yeah.
But I would say it spurs Rei on, I guess, to be more assertive and to really, like, actually go for things, as opposed to, because, like, you know, so much of Sangatsu is about Rei's depression, and I think this is something that, you know, at least I can relate to a lot. I don't know if it's just like a depression thing or just whatever, but, like, Rei tries very hard to not take advantage of people to the point where, you know, I think this is in the anime, he, like, gets sick at one point, right, and, like, has a fever, and they tell him, like, the Hinomotos, they tell him, like, come over, like, you're sick, and he's like,
let us
he's
help
like, no,
you.
because he doesn't want to burden them, so he, like, sits in his apartment, laying down, high fever, not really eating. And they eventually just decide we have to go fucking kidnap him. It's
in season 1, so it's pretty early, but it's basically like, he's literally like really sick. He can't even go to the store to get food. Like, even I think he has a line where it's like, I can't even be depressed properly. Like, he's just, you know, and he's like basically dying, and they basically they force their way into his apartment to help him because, like, he fucking needs it, and because they're good.
Right, and they invite him over for dinner all the time, and the thing that's so good is you even see this in the first chapter, in the first episode. Yes. You know, they invite him over, and Rei checks his text, he's like, I'm not going to go over because I don't want to burden them, and they know this, and so Akari texts Rei and is like, hey, we're out of this thing that we need for dinner, can you please pick some up for us on your way here? So she's almost making it so like you're not just coming over to take advantage of us. We kind of need your help. Do they really need his help? No, but that's how they can get him there, because he's so anti-taking advantage of people. And then you have this antagonist who doesn't care about the people in his life at all. Is actively the moment Craftsdwarf mentions, he's just using people to take advantage of other people. All he's trying to do is just take advantage of everyone. So they're just so different.
Everyone involved except for him. Like, that's the thing, is like he's just so completely shitty. And yeah, I guess like for one of the reasons I think that affects Ray so much is because like Ray is very down on himself. And like there's a part in season 1, I think, even where he sees the cuckoo bird on like a documentary series on TV and about they're parasitic, and he's like, shit, that feels like me. And then he runs into this like person who is basically like everything Ray thinks he is, but isn't actually. And that having that like example of like, damn, this guy's a horrible piece of shit. Like, it's just it leads to some good fucking moments, I'll tell you that.
God. It's really fucking good, and it has like so many moments where Ray just like really does start to become someone who's like taking more of a charge and is deciding, like he starts deciding things, like instead of just kind of like, I guess, going along with things. And it's really fucking good, and it's a great arc, and the villain is just such a piece of shit. Oh, it's so fucking good.
Who else could I talk about? See, I actually kind of want to avoid talking about, like, because we usually talk about the big three so much, so I'm like...
Yeah, I actually intentionally didn't want to talk about... And I think all the antagonists we could talk about in the big three, everyone talks about them, right? Everyone talks about, Doflamingo and Katakuri and Obito and Sasuke and Madara and Ulquiorra. Everyone talks about all of them too much. Aizen, yeah. So let's just fucking avoid them. If no one else has another one,
love Aizen. Just kidding.
If no one else has any right now, I do have another one. I think I could.
I do want, like, I need to reread Kaiji because I'd love to talk more about Kazuya, and I know he's great, and like or Kazuya, who's comes in and past the anime, obviously, but because I rewatched Kaiji, but I haven't reread the manga yet, so
Kazuya's very fucking good. I know you know that, but
no, yeah, right, and it's just like even just from like not the beginning, but like the beginning of part 4, the thing that really struck me is just that like he likes Kaiji because he's always been like, because he's the heir to this like really wealthy group. So he's always been surrounded by two-faced people who he can't trust, who, and like that's hurt him a lot throughout his life. And Kaiji just openly fucking hates his guts. And so he loves Kaiji and respects him because like, here's an honest fucking person who will just tell me that he fucking hates me. And like,
and ultimately when you really find out why that attracts Kazuya and what it is that Kazuya actually wants, it's a little heartbreaking, I think.
I need to reread the fucking manga so much because fucking part 5. Oh,
and then what Kaiji does at the end of part, ooh,
yeah, no, it's it's good shit.
Fukumoto really just incapable of a miss, dog. Yeah, I can give one right now. I'm prepped on one if neither of y'all have one right now.
I'll talk a little bit about Elsa Forte from Aikatsu Stars, where just she's just like I even just like outside of her story arc and stuff. I just like her presentation because she's definitely like elite Ojo-ish, I guess, but also just also she's a pirate idol queen. Sure, which is like, okay, cool. Like she literally like goes around scouting idols to add them to her crew, which is actually a school that is actually a boat. And I'm like, yeah, she's pretty good. And I did a whole video because I did really like her arc and her conflict with Yume, who is also really good. And the end of it, the resolution did make me emotional. So yeah, that was good.
Mm-hmm. And then Manji.
I mean, I can think of someone, but it's just one of those things where it's been like, it's been so long that I like quite literally do not know if I would consider them a favorite. So
okay, I guess I'll go while you can think a little bit more. I don't know if I would consider this person a favorite, but I do think they are a really interesting antagonist, and in one of my favorite pieces of media, which is Hades from Hades, because I think part of what makes him so good, without giving everything away, but I have to give some away to actually talk about why he's good, is that he's actually the sweetest man in the world and is undoubtedly a good guy, and that's a large part of how the narrative plays out. However, he is the final boss of every run you do. Like, you do not complete a run with Hades without killing Hades. Right? Obviously, he goes back to the fucking underworld and he's like chilling there in his fucking little, desk. But, you have to fight and beat him every run to beat a run. But, so he's literally like the final roadblock in an antagonist and this huge like thorn in your side the whole game and every run. But he's also literally just like a sweet fucking man and like is good, and so much of Hades is like, you're learning more things as you do, and because to get the true ending, you have to finish 10 runs. So every run you essentially finish. So every time you kill Hades, you learn a lot more and you get these big chunks of story in them. And that's part of what makes it so great, is like seeing all of this kind of take place and seeing this story of Hades being like this great guy. It's so great. And I like it a lot. And I think he's really good. That game's really good. And he's not the only video game antagonist named Hades that I think is fucking great and one of the best parts of their games. But I'm probably not going to talk about Kid Icarus Uprising here. But he would also go on there. Nunmanji?
I mean, I guess I really like Killmonger from Black Panther. I still think he's like a really interesting villain that I would like to think about more if I watched the movie and maybe thought about more like context surrounding him.
Have you seen the What If episode that was in the trailer?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
Okay, I have, and you should watch it.
Yeah, I'll watch it eventually. I think the thing about Killmonger that's like really interesting is just kind of like, I think in a lot of ways he does he embodies like a mentality that like I do think about, where like people will have something against a certain group of people who they like deemed the people who wronged them, but in kind of like focusing on how like they've been wronged and kind of being almost like having like a vengeful attitude about it, I guess. They would like unknowingly kind of be like those people that they're against. And I think Killmonger is like that to a T in a lot of ways, especially with him just kind of like thinking Wakanda should just be like this crazy superpower who can do whatever they want to other countries and basically like rule over everyone else. And and they do bring up that like that allusion to slavery and kind of I do also think like his like hinting at his like social economic position when he was younger is really interesting. Like I think there's a lot of like interesting details that they put in there so you can think about in regards to who he is now. And I think he's a really great character. And I'm kind of surprised to think so, just because like, I saw Black Panther before, but it's not like I literally did not think about Killmonger after I watched it the first time. So it's just like, it's kind of more of a recent watching thing that I was like, oh man, this guy's really good. He's definitely like up there in terms of like MCU villains and maybe villains in general. Probably not, but he is someone that I do really like.
Speaking of Killmonger, just to sell the What If episode real quick. Basically, what I thought was interesting about it is how it like actually finds some pretty neat like contrasts and like similar, to between Tony Stark. Well, to spoil because it's in the trailer, so I don't feel like it's spoiling it. But it's basically like, what if Killmonger saved Tony Stark at the beginning of Iron Man? So Tony doesn't actually go through his arc in Iron Man, and then he's with Killmonger, and it sort of like pulls out some interesting like parallels, I guess, between the two of them. Like, they both have dead dads. They're both connected to war in the military because, you know, Tony was a weapons dealer, basically. So it was I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so maybe you'll think of some stuff while watching the episode, is what I'm suggesting. And yeah, I guess on the topic of MCU villains, I mean, why can't I talk about anything because of spoilers? But Loki, you know, is good as well, and is really, I think Loki, this series, you know, is also a really interesting take on his character and exploration of his character. So, yeah.
Do you guys want to move on?
Yeah, I feel like we're about done. I don't have very many other characters I can talk about. I don't think so.
I forgot to watch Orient.
Okay, well, how about this? We'll skip it for this week and watch two. We'll talk about both episodes this week. But, sorry, I have a call out to make. Nick, Justice Man, Natty, and Undertone, you four are unbased because you voted for Orient.
Let's go.
Velocity and Andre, you two are based because you two voted for Sona Bisque doll, even though it didn't win. So, there, I called out our patrons.
Nunmanji, check DMs.
Oh, you didn't watch it either, motherfucker, did you?
I didn't say that! Look, it's so funny because I was about to say let's go to the weekly roundup, and then you didn't say that, and I realized you were mid Orient, and I almost audibly said, "Oh fuck," but I held myself, and I was gonna do what Nun's done before and just completely bullshit my way through it, right? And do the thing that happens with Orient so often, where like you'll say something, I'll just go, "It was fine." Or, like, if you just said it was bad, I'd be like, yeah, it was kind of dog shit this week.
Y'all would have been so busted, though, because see, maybe you would have gotten the pass if none had seen it and he had talked about it, or vice versa, but I feel like, but that was my plan, was to pretend like I hadn't seen it and hope that both of you all had. But that's why I was so proud of myself for not audibly going, fuck! But none didn't watch it either. Unfucking fortunate.
Well, we're recording on a different day from normal, so I wasn't in my habit of like, because I normally watch it the day we record, but I had class today, so I didn't think about it.
Well, I watched
Nobody thinks about Orient. Not even the people who voted for it.
That might
Fuck you, Natty.
Also, I need you to do me a favor, and you can edit this in if you do it. Me and Dot were talking about this, and we thought it'd be funny if there was crossover between the people who voted for Orient and the people who voted for God of High School way back then, but it might be gone.
Because the only reason I was able to see here was because I used the website, and you have to put in your name when you vote, and I didn't use that same website back when I did God of High School, unless maybe you can check, like, if you download the poll data on Patreon as the person who made the poll, maybe you can see who voted, so I can check.
Alternatively, if you voted for both, you have to tell us.
Honor system, no lying. You have to tell us if you voted for both God of High School and Orient.
I agree. All right, so I guess weekly roundup. Nunmanji!
Who are you? Hold on, let me look. I didn't think about what I could talk about.
I actually don't know if I can talk about one thing or I have to talk about another because I don't know if I've talked about one thing yet. You know, does that make sense?
Sure.
I have to ask if I've talked about something, so if I know if I can talk about that, or I think I did, so then I have to talk about something else, which is fine because I have two things I can talk about. I got a backup, but I don't have a backup for my backup. So if the movie I watched on Saturday I can't talk about, then I'm fucked.
I guess I could talk about Celeste or Sailor Moon's manga. I guess.
Did Celeste cure your depression?
I mean, I guess we'll talk about Celeste. I thought it was good. It was kind of interesting to going into it, thinking about like how people thought it was like this amazing story on depression, and like I think at first that mindset almost made me like, it didn't make me dislike it, but it made me like, you know, think about like, yeah, it's just kind of fine. It's cute. Like I like it, but then like thinking people were overrating it made me like more surprised by things that happened later. Not that it ever got like, whoa, this is like deep and like, whoa, this really blew my mind. But it's like, I do really like her like literally talking to her other side, like the other side of herself on the mountain. I do like that it's like just it almost is like an actual person that she can talk to. And I really liked to see that. And I enjoyed playing the game because I don't play like that many 2D platformers or anything, so
it was nice don't get me wrong. The gameplay and the level design are fucking phenomenal in Celeste.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those go really hard.
And like I do really appreciate when games are like not very punishing about deaths. Like I like that I can just like jump right back in. Like there's almost no delay between where I was and where I was when I died. Like there's very few times in the game, I think, where there'll be a long section before you get the chance to just like reload. Like you know, like there's not that much you have to redo every time you die. Like there's very, very, very few exceptions, and even those are like not that bad at all. Yeah, I don't know. I had a lot of fun with the game. I do like I kind of like that Theo like is just this like random guy she meets on the mountain, but then he's like, you know, actually someone who follows her the entire game, and just like, you know, like I do like that. There's just like the slow, like small, tiny community that she builds as she climbs the mountain, of people that you don't really like. You don't necessarily think all of them are going to be relevant at first. Like even the old lady that she meets first is just like laughing at her. Like even she's like there at the end and is like this, like a little bit of a guiding figure, I guess. I had fun with it. I'm sad that it seems like I went slightly over the average playtime for like the main campaign or whatever. I had like 11 hours and 53 minutes. I do think part of that's like a little longer than it really took, because like I do know that I just like kind of just left my Switch on at some point, but I don't think it accounted for like too long of that, but it is part of that. And I didn't do like the I didn't collect all the like strawberries like after a certain point. Like I did go for some, but it's like I think especially when I got like towards the end part, I was like I didn't really care enough about them because I already didn't go, like I already missed some, so it's like, you know, I'm not gonna do them, but I might play again and do the strawberries if I like really want to play more of the game. And it's not like I thought the strawberries were too hard to get or anything. It's just like since they are optional, I did like treat them as optional. I do want to like do the whole like extra chapter or whatever that you get at the end, because like I don't have that unlocked. Like I went to the chapter and I couldn't go past the little barrier that they had there. I do plan on doing that at some point, but it'll probably be way later. I guess I'm curious on like how different the game is and if it's like a lot harder or anything. Yeah, it was fun. I liked it. It was cool. Don't have much more to say about it.
Okay, real quick before Vindy goes, I looked at the people who voted for God of High School. There was no overlap, but I do know one of the people who voted for God of High School. Vindy, you also know him. It's fucking Renru.
Oh my... Okay, it's fine. He's... You know what? He knows what he did. Because you know why I know he suffered? Because he watches what we would watch seasonally, so... I know he had to pay for that fucking choice by watching God of High School. So, he's fine. Well, he's off the hook.
Honestly,
as long as he suffers with us, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think when we get bad shows or mediocre shows, it should be a tradition to read off every single person's name who voted for it.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Oh
no,
my
I
goodness.
lost it. No, wait, I still have it. Doja32161. Sad 1212. The Unthinkable. Hold on, it's arranged really badly. Renru, who I already mentioned. And Static. You all voted for the worst show we've seen on the Weeb Club, I think. Fuck you, I guess. Alright, go ahead, Vindy.
Okay, did I talk about Way of Kings last time? Or did I mention it?
No.
The first
I think you
Stormlight
mentioned
Archives
that
book?
you would talk about it. So you talked about it in that context, but you didn't actually
say
talk
what
about
it
it
is a little bit, and I think
it was the fantasy book I read, the first Stormlight Archives book.
I feel like you talked about that.
I feel like I did talk about it. I feel like I talked about it and then also talked about something else because it was hard to talk about Way of Kings. I think what happened.
You were like you had like 200 pages left.
I mean, maybe I'm confusing that for like
they talk about it on
talk about it
stream
somewhere else or something. So
it might have been talking about on stream. You know what? Fuck that. There's something more important that I would rather talk about anyways. All right, because the greatest film of the decade, all right, came out this weekend, and I went to go see it, and it changed my life for the better. All right,
Uncharted?
No,
Sad.
I'm talking about Jackass Forever. All right, true fucking cinema. All right, can't call it peak fiction because it's not fiction. That shit happened. All right, this is a fucking look. Just to say it without any fucking meme, I really like the Jackass movies. I watched one of the 6 of them because if you don't know, I think there actually might be 5 because I don't know if there was a Jackass 1.5. So there might be 5. But I watched one of the 5. Every couple months, I turn on like 2, 2.5, 3, or 3.5 mainly are the ones I watch. Sometimes I'll watch 1. But I watch the Jackass movies all the time. I think they're fun. You know, it's funny to watch.
People get hurt.
People get hurt, and the levels they go to it, right, and the shit they do sometimes is so crazy that I can't say it's not just fucking great. You know, I love Jackass. I was very excited when I heard they were making Jackass 4. I was excited to watch in October. It got delayed. God hates me. What else is new? So then Jackass 4 came out. Okay. It's still fucking amazing. Like, they're older and, I hope there will be a 4.5. I don't know if it's been confirmed or whatever, but I hope that because normally what they do, right, is they just film a bunch of footage and then put a movie together. And so then they normally have enough footage left over for a whole second movie. But either way, I thought this movie was like fucking great. There were so many bits in it that were just like so insane. I saw an interview today after watching it. One of the guys had a testicle explode during filming. Because look, he might have had a cup on and then had a pogo stick jump on the cup. Which I don't know why. That's just fucking dumb. There's another one where they had Wee Man strapped to the ground like he was in a fucking like devil summoning ritual. And then they started stuffing raw meat in like his briefs. And then they let a vulture out of a cage and the vulture was picking the meat up. There were a lot of good stunts. Johnny Knoxville took one of the fucking hardest hits I've ever seen by a bull. He got his ass knocked out. His bell rung. Someone got like 5 gallons of pig cum dumped on him at one point. It's just phenomenal. It's just like, it was such a fun theater experience, right? Because I went to the theater, like I went to get food and I had a couple drinks and then I went to the theater. And so I'm just sitting there in the theater with all these other people that are all watching this movie. And we were just laughing the whole time. Like from start to finish, everyone in the theater was just laughing. It was such a great theater experience, which last time I was at that theater was when I went to see Shang-Chi. And I think I talked about how terrible that experience was, right?
Oh, was it Spider-Man?
I went to see Spider-Man back in Houston.
Different theater.
Here where
Gotcha,
I live now.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So last time I went to the theater I was at was a terrible experience. And this time, like, even there were a couple times where people were talking. I didn't give a fuck. I'm not watching Jackass for the plot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm watching it to see Johnny Knoxville get launched out of a cannon into a lake. Like, so just everyone laughing the whole time, everyone having a good time. It was a great theater experience, fun movie. Krabs definitely heard me talk about it and thinks I'm a psychopath for watching it.
I just definitely don't care. It's fine.
But now he's just being toxic.
Oh no, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I haven't seen any of them, and I just don't really care. Doesn't sound interesting. Sorry.
I like it. It's fun. Great movie. Here's the thing, right? You know if Jackass is your thing, okay? You know if you're going to go and see it and enjoy yourself. And you know if you're probably not going to find it funny. So you know what? If you think it's your thing, actually just go fucking see it, because I can promise you it is. That's really all I have to say about it, but it was great. I loved it. Yeah. Solid movie yet again.
Cool. So, as promised, I have rewatched the Raimi trilogy of Spider-Man movies. So, Spider-Man 1, still pretty good. I think it's probably like the least interesting of the trilogy. Not for any bad reasons, just because it's like, it's a solid introduction. William Dafoe knocks it out of the park with the Green Goblin. Like, holy shit. But it's also just, like, especially, like, Spider-Man's origin specifically, like, he's such a popular character who's been adapted so many times that, like, it's good and it's solid. It's just kind of like, yeah. Spider-Man 2. Or what was that then? What was that then? Say it again. I swear to fucking God.
Kill yourself.
No! Why? What's wrong?
I
like Spider-Man 1. It's engaging. I was engaged the whole time, which I can't say about all of the Raimi trilogy.
Okay, Craftsdwarf, I need you to cry yourself silly, but I need you to replace the C and cry with a K for me, all right?
What?
How does that not make sense? I'll type it out for you.
But
look at the first letters of the words, Craftsdwarf.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Now I understand.
Okay, continue.
Anyway, Spider-Man 2 is still like probably possibly my favorite superhero movie. Depends on how I feel whenever I get around to rewatching The Incredibles, but it's fucking Spider-Man 2.
Guy.
Look, The Incredibles has like some personal context with me.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2 is just fucking phenomenal. It's just like I was worried because I'm like, am I just not? Am I still just gonna give it a 9? Am I just gonna like it? Am I just gonna think it's good? And it's like, nope. I was destroyed. It hurt my feelings. I think it's just like, well, like one thing that I thought was interesting about it that I don't really see a lot in like Hollywood movies, especially, or even just things in very many things in general, is how like Peter's at his low point halfway through the movie. The entire second half of the movie is him just like, raindrops keep falling on his head. He's just like, he's slowly working his way through his low point for most of, like, for a huge chunk of the film. And I felt like that doesn't happen especially is just coming off of Spider-Man 3 today. Like, he hits the low point, like, 3/4 of the way through that film, and then like the whole climax, and it just goes right into the end of it, basically. And I feel like that kind of structure is just way more common. So that was just something that really struck me about it. And, honestly, but probably the most striking thing about rewatching Spider-Man 2, though, is like I somehow hadn't fucking noticed. My atheist fucking ass didn't notice just how like much Christianity is in these movies, and it didn't hit me until Spider-Man 2 even, and I was just like, oh. Like, obviously, I've seen people reference like the train scene with the he's like Jesus imagery, I guess, and I was like, okay, whatever. But then like Aunt May, in the bit where like Doc Ock like was grabbed her and shit, and she like is hanging off the angel statue, and then she like thanks the angel after she like is able to like set, she's like sliding down and she's terrified, but no, there's actually a ledge under her. I'm like, and it just kind of all clicked at that point. And I'm just like, there's even a scene where Peter's like, am I not allowed to be happy? Am I not allowed to get what I want? And I'm just like, okay, he's literally just in his apartment like being mad at God, basically, and just like because his life fucking sucks. And I just thought it was interesting that I never noticed that framing whatsoever, and it kind of also framed the rest of the trilogy, like the Green Goblin just being like this sort of snake tempting Peter in a sense with to use his power irresponsibly and stuff, and like the attacking Aunt May and while she's praying and shit. And in the third movie, where does Peter go to get rid of the suit? A church. Oh, interesting. It's just like it all clicked into place, and I just never thought of it that way before. Yeah. And I was like, so it's just me like somehow not getting it for 20 years. So don't mind.
There's
me.
also the scene where Eddie Brock asks God to fucking kill Peter Parker.
Yeah, right. Like they go to the church for different reasons, and because Peter's trying to shed the black suit, but Eddie's being shitty, and so he gets the black suit, and right, and it just
need help, get religion.
Yeah, that was that line.
Well,
holy shit.
I just love Eddie Brock literally going to the church and asking, not knowing that he's Spider-Man, just actually being so pissed at Peter Parker that he asks God to fucking kill this regular man. It's like, oh my God.
But yeah, it was just like, I guess, you know, this is me growing up in an atheist household and just like not recognizing it at all for some reason. But just like a weird moment of like, you know, serendipity moment, or not serendipity, that's just realization, like the click moment. I just wanted to share that because it's just so like, I don't know. It just feels like now that I see it, it's just like obvious to me, if that makes sense. And it's just baffling that I never noticed it before. Is the thing, because I didn't like, it's not like, oh, I haven't rewatched it since I was a kid. I rewatched it like 4 or 5 years ago, I think, in like 2016, 2015, I feel like. So I should have gotten it then, but I didn't. So, but yeah, Spider-Man 2 is really good. Just Peter learning to, you know, rely on other people and not shoulder all the burden himself. And yeah, it just fucking got to me a bit. And then I wish I could like Spider-Man 3. I don't like hate it for sure. It's just like I think Peter's arc is in isolation is perfectly fine. Harry's arc is fine. I just think the movie kind of like fumbles in so many other areas. I really do not like how MJ is handled. I mean, the first half of the movie, I think she's handled pretty fine because like she's just struggling with the relationship with Peter because he's being kind of self-absorbed and yeah, legitimately kind of being a dick. Like she has issues with him for good reason and like MJ literally did nothing wrong, but then halfway through the movie, Harry like gets his memory back, which I didn't care for that. Just the memory loss in general. It's like, well, just not a trope I'm a fan of, as I've mentioned before, I'm sure. And then he like manipulates her into breaking it off with Peter, which like the scene of the breakup could have happened without that, I feel like, but instead the movie just gets rid of MJ's agency. And despite her being like such a big part of the movie, she just kind of takes the back seat for the whole last half. And I'm just like, okay, that like it didn't even feel like I didn't feel like her shit was actually like meaningfully resolved with Peter. Like he learned his lesson, yeah, because like they had the conversations with Ant-Man in the beginning where it's like, oh, you need to be able to like you know, put the person you love before yourself, and that's what he wasn't doing for the movie. And then he realizes it, and he talks with Aunt May, and he's like, I'm not ready. I can't put MJ before myself right now. So he has his arc. I just don't like how MJ is sort of like handled. Aside, it just didn't it just bugged me a bit of it. Venom, I just don't think, like, maybe I know there's gotta be good Venom stories out there that I'd like, but I just realized I kind of don't like him in anything that I've seen yet, and maybe rewatching the Venom, or rewatching the first Venom and watching the second one will change my mind, but I just, like, and in Spider-Man 3 in particular, Venom he's just good. Lame. Like, I don't like how he looks, his general design just looks goofy to me. In general, Spider-Man 3 uses way more like CG. In the
Venom movies.
Okay, I'll see how I feel rewatching those, but because 2007 Spider-Man, or it came out in Spider-Man 3 2007. Well, that was also weird realizing that this came out the year before Iron Man, and like that's just such a weird like moment of you know, in superhero media, I guess, of just like Iron Man being this big deal, and just realizing that Spider-Man 3 only came out a year before that was just weird to realize it. But yeah, like the movie just relies way more on CG compared to the earlier two, which had more practical effects. Like I've seen some of like Doc Ock's tentacles, there were actually props for those, even though of course there was lots of CG with them for sure, but you know, some of it was prop work, which, you know, aged better in that sense, where, you know, like for Marco and Venom, there was a lot of CG that I didn't think looked very good some of the times. And Marco also, I just kind of realized it because like I feel like I don't know, he's kind of there because Peter and his vengeance thing, but he on his own, he just kind of like he's there like, I want to get the money to help my daughter. Oops, I failed. Spider-Man beat me. Oops, Spider-Man beat me again. Oh, Venom says he's helped me now. And now I'm going to apologize to Spider-Man. I'm going to explain my side of the story to Spider-Man. Like, he's just kind of there. And I'm just like, oh, like...
Sounds like another Spider-Man movie that has Sandman in it. I'm just being a shithead. I think he's fine in that movie, but I just wanted to be a fucking...
I mean, I'm thinking about it. He might be better in that movie. Not that he's great, but it's like...
How so? I don't think...
Because he has an arc in that movie. He actually, like... I mean, it's not great. It's one of the weakest villains there, but it's something. I don't know.
I think the scene where he's, like, trying to, like, scrape at the ring is really good, though. In 3. You know what I'm talking about? when he fucking gets turned into a little sand boy and he's like trying to grab the ring and it goes through his hand. It's sad.
I think you're thinking of something else.
No! Spider-Man 3,
No,
Sandman!
he is thinking of Spider-Man 3.
No, I mean, you're thinking it's not a ring. When is it a ring? You mean the
it might
amulet?
not be a ring. Yeah, the amulet, sorry.
Yeah,
The
with
locket.
the
I'm
pic-
sorry,
locket
I'm
with this picture.
sorry!
Yeah, sorry, I was... Because there is a ring in that movie, but it's, like, important, and it's just not
Yeah,
related
but that's
to
a
Sand, so I
different
was confused.
scene.
I know, I was just confused. Oh, when Peter's grabbing the ring, I thought you... Okay.
No, I'm talking about I meant the locket with Sandman.
Okay, that's what confused me, because, like, there is an important... all right, we're done. All right, I'm done. Anyway, but yeah, just, you know, there was some aspects I liked. Also, the fucking, edgy Peter scene where he's dancing is fucking hilarious, and I would refuse to hear anything else, because, like, I was just, like, laughing the whole time. It's, like, I love how, like, there's so many girls who are just, like, weirded out, and, like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, it's so good.
Do you want to know the one good thing, by the way? Like, the one thing that has Venom in it that you will like Craftsdwarf and you will like Venom's portrayal?
Go ahead.
Fortnite.
I'm gonna fucking end this podcast. All right, what are you guys fucking doing next week? Apparently Fortnite.
We do not need to talk about how much Fortnite I've played in the last, like, 2 weeks, all right? It's a problem. I don't fucking know.
So, I mean, I was gonna finish the Pokemon anime this week, but ended up not because I didn't have the chance to watch it. But I might now, or like it'll either probably be that, or I might complete Sailor Moon's manga unless I drop it. Mm-hmm. So
probably deserves it.
Yeah, one of the two.
I will probably talk about either The Way of Kings, or I'll get back to watching Star Wars and I'll talk about the original trilogy.
See, the only thing I can think of that I would probably talk about is, at least unless I talk about stuff that I've already finished, like stuff that I would finish with the next week, it would be the Amazing Spider-Man movies, just kind of continuing off of that, I guess. But we'll see. So yeah, thank you for listening. Oh my god, it's under an hour and a half. It's a decent.
I know. Thank fucking God, because I have class tomorrow. So
yeah, and thank fucking God, because we're recording this on Monday, and I have to have it edited by Wednesday. So I'm glad it was a shorter episode. But thank you for listening.
Whoa.
Aren't you glad we didn't watch Orient?
Well, whatever. We'll talk. We'll just watch it, you motherfuckers. All right. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.
Adios.